Hey, what's going on, folks? It's Chris at Vertical Trading. This is going to be a little short video. Kind of show you guys a bit of what I've been up to lately. So I'm going to show you a couple of modifications I've made to an automated trading system, also an existing trading study in Sierra Chart. And what we're doing here is we are using the Sierra Chart ACSIL or AXIL or Advanced Custom Study Language, which is kind of a form of C++, to develop automated trading systems within Sierra Chart that operate on our client side. And what's really interesting about this is that right now we're in the stage in our own trading where we are implementing or trying to implement various rules that we've created in our trading for a long period of time, over a long period of time. And I feel like this is something very interesting that is actually improving my abilities as a trader. And I'm going to describe to you a few scenarios as to why this is really interesting and important. So the first scenario is that, well, once you have a program that is able to operate and execute orders that are based upon certain conditions being true on the chart, you can run that program in a very accurate simulated environment in Sierra Chart. And they call it the market replay environment. And what's really crazy, I only realized this like the other day, guys, is that you can do a market replay in Sierra Chart at a speed of 30,000 times faster than the actual market. Now that right there is just mind-boggling. What that literally means is that if you have a system that you were coded into a study, you can literally backtest that system on thousands, probably hundreds, thousands of days worth of data and get trade statistics on that trading setup, like without having to do a lot of work. And you can also use that to tweak the method and all of that. So for me, that's totally mind-boggling. I mean, so that's kind of what I've been like doing a little bit on my free time these days. You know, obviously I've been trading the markets for almost 4 years. I've been day trading for around 3 years. And I have experience, I have an understanding of how the market operates. I have rules in place in my own method of trading. And what is now the challenge for me is learning how to implement some of that logic into an actual program. And I guess that's kind of what I'm sharing with you guys right here. So far I've done some low-level programming, you know, very simple implementations of like a buy order structure, implementing, you know, a keyboard shortcut that executes a certain structure, modifications to existing trading studies that are that can create sort of a very unique way of submitting an order to the market. So I've done some of this stuff thus far. So unfortunately, I will not be going through every nuance about the trading system that I am developing, because, you know, why do I need to do that? But what I can do is kind of explain to you guys like a few things along the journey that I'm working on. So last video, I made this study here, which was a volatility overlay. And I created basically like the body of the study, which basically does the calculations for the subgraphs on the chart. And until then, well, since then, I've added in a few things to the study. So I added in a few orders, or I guess what should be called order structures, that will be submitted when you use either a menu ID click or a keyboard shortcut using the advanced custom study buttons in Sierra Chart. That can be pretty much assigned to anything. Any up to 150 different buttons are supported, and you can literally do anything with those buttons. You can any logic you can code can be assigned to those keyboard shortcuts. So it's just pretty insane. Like, you can literally do whatever you want. And that's kind of what is just so insane about this. And the other thing is that totally boggles my mind, that blows my mind to smithereens, is that they've actually documented pretty much every single possible function that they've put into this language. So for example, automated trading from an advanced custom study. And, you know, over here covers a lot of different stuff. And it's just really awesome. So I've been kind of working on that slowly now. And my goal is to eventually put in some of these rule sets that I've created in my own trading and, you know, implement them into the evaluation of the order triggering. So right now, I've only gotten as far as I have the order structures in place, and I have a few other things like automatic order modifications, or if I do show you that. Okay, so one thing we've implemented so far is we can actually create a buy order structure or a sell order structure that are based upon the values of our subgraphs. So I can do this with a menu command. So I can do start sell side, and it will place our sell side orders right there. And then actually these orders are pegged to the value of those subgraphs. So they automatically modify themselves. So there we go. They've modified themselves down in this case. So that's what the sell side portion of this looks like. And what we need to do now is implement a button that will cancel it as well. So I'll do the buy side one as well, cancel that. And I've actually implemented advanced custom study buttons that can perform the same function. So if I press the custom study button for the buy side, there we go, we've got that. I haven't implemented the one for the sell side yet, but if I go ahead, and I can easily do that just by putting in the code. So for example, handle sell menu ID clicks. Yeah, I haven't put in the advanced custom study function there yet, but I'll do that at a later time. So basically what's left to do now for me, the next step here is going to be to add some specific logic to this code that will basically, I'm going to try a few things. I'm going to do some more trial and error, and I might even try to run a back test on even something very basic at first, see how that performs, and then I might add some more detailed logic to it if I think that that is necessary, right? So it might not even really be necessary to add in all the complicated rules that I've implemented in my own trading. So what I'll do is I'll try to build it out slowly, run back tests, and it'll be like sort of that type of process. Now, before we end the video, I do want to show you a couple of changes I've made to one existing trading study in Sierra Chart. And I do have a video on this, but I just wanted to show you guys a couple other changes I made using advanced custom study buttons. So one study in Sierra Chart is called the bid-ask quantity triggered stop order. Okay, now if I add this study to the chart, what we'll see now is when you right click, you have these menu ID things that come up called set buy stop price and set sell stop price. What this order does, it's a client-side condition that will submit a buy stop order based upon the bid or ask quantity on the market depth, and you set that value. You set the quantity you want it to trigger at. Okay. And I actually have another study that puts that value into that input based upon a certain calculation we are making with the market depth. What that does is it sets it to the appropriate amount for that specific market. Okay, that's a sort of model we have in place there. Now, what we did with this study first is we modified it so it doesn't submit a buy or sell stop order, it submits a buy or sell limit order. And in the moment that this order is submitted, it is actually a marketable limit order because you're actually buying the ask or selling the bid in that moment. Okay, and the reason we implemented this was to reduce slippage. Okay. So there are moments in your trading where you might want to get into the market on a buy stop or on a sell stop. For example, reclaims a certain price point and you're expecting it to kind of snap back really quickly and get an instant edge in your favor. I guess that's how I could describe it. Now, the issue with that is if you use the original version of this study is that you are at the risk of getting at least a 1 or 2 tick slippage depending upon the market and all that, and also depending upon the speed of your order routing. Because remember, orders in the market, they can pull in nanoseconds, right? So you as a retail trader executing from your client side, you're up against computers that can place and pull orders in nanoseconds. And if you're running a client side algo that's going to submit a market order, well, basically you're telling the market, I'm willing to accept slippage on that. So I modified this study that you can't get any slippage. And that's the first thing I did with the study. And I did record that in one other video I made. And basically what I did was I took the code for the original study, which is available in Sierra Chart's code, it's like public, and I went into it and I just found a way to modify the order type and the order price to a limit order, and so that it locks the order price to the value of the subgraph's price that you have it at. And the worst case scenario in the case that your order does not fill is that you simply end up with a limit order sitting there on the book. And that's a very good thing, actually, because normally, you know, even if you do end up with a limit order just sitting there and the market has gone past you, there's a high chance that your order is going to be pretty quickly placed in the queue there, and you might have some sort of queue advantage in the case the market does come back to trade a few contracts into your order. So if this is all over your head, that's fine. This is kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah, so in this study here, this is the code for the bid-ask quantity triggered limit order. You can see here that the order type is a limit order and the order price is being specified as the order price of the subgraph. Okay. The second thing we implemented to this study, to our version of this study, is actually, instead of using the menu ID clicks to submit those orders, because that is kind of a lengthy process. Like you don't really want to have to, like when the market's moving fast, you don't really want to have to right click, then left click to submit a buy stop condition. And then also if you want to cancel that condition, right click and then left click again. So for me, that was a little lengthy. So what I did was I implemented advanced custom study buttons that will perform those functions, the same ones that were being performed by the menu ID clicks. Okay. So as you can see now on my version of the study, the bid ask quantity triggered limit order, there is no menu IDs for that submit buy stop and submit sell stop and cancel the stop order. Now, if I do submit the order condition, now when I right click, you can see there is the condition still appears there to cancel the stop order. So I can still cancel it. That's what it is pretty much. And the way we've done that is in this code right here. So we actually took the block and we just kind of adjusted it so that it actually fits in the function for the button, pressing of the button as well. So in this case, the original code would have looked something like this. So sc.menu, if sc.menu ID is not equal to 0 and sc.menu ID is equal to the persistent variable for the menu ID, or sc.menu event ID is equal to ACS button 1, which means that we press ACS button 1, then it executes this block of code right here, which is basically resetting all the persistent variables to 0, which means remove the subgraph off the chart, remove the condition off the chart completely, and also remove the shortcut menu items and reset the button status back to 0. So that's what that does. Now, in the case of the other ones for the buy and sell conditions, we actually removed the menu event ID because I feel like I didn't really need it. So I only I set it so that it's if sc.menu event ID is not equal to 0 and sc.menu event ID is equal to ACS underscore button underscore 2, which means that the only way to activate this is by pressing ACS button 2. Then it will execute this block of code right here, which is to submit that buy order condition and basically set these persistent variables right here. And these persistent variables are used in the later part of the code. And when they are set to 1, then it basically goes through with the rest of the program. So it's pretty interesting. And I just thought it was a cool little tweak that I made to that study using advanced custom study buttons. Just to quicken that process, I don't have to use the menu right click, left click. I can actually just use a keyboard shortcut to submit the buy order condition and cancel it as well. So I hope this helped somebody. Maybe it didn't, but really what this was is just sort of like an update on what we've been up to. And the next step here is going to be doing some tests with our automated trading system and adding a few conditions here and there and handling a few important cases and also doing some back testing. So I'll see you guys later. Take care.